Welcome, everyone, to an NABC chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by the Executive Director, Craig Robinson, and the current NABC Board of Director, the President, Jamie Dixon, the head coach of TCU. Jamie and Craig, you just had your summer meeting at the end of summer. But before we even get to sort of unpacking some of the main issues going on, I just want to get a sense first from you, Jamie, because you're in the trenches. What was it like? And the feedback, Craig, maybe on the back end of this, to finally have, after a year hiatus, a summer where you actually can work with your players and get ready for the season.
No, it's why we do it. I mean, just the 8 weeks we were able to work out. I've joked, but I think it's very real. We got more in 8 weeks than we got in all of last year, as far as sets, plays, defensive coverages. And it really was. I mean, just how many we were decimated by it. All 17 players had COVID, and obviously the number of practices was in triple digits that we missed. So it just, just being with our guys, being on campus now, seeing students interacting, going to other sporting events. I mean, it's why we do it, I guess, is the simplest way. And it's been more enjoyable for so many reasons, and you can see certainly more growth in your players on and off the court. So it's just great to be back, no question about it.
Yeah, and Andy, to Jamie's point, it was great to be back. But from the coach's standpoint, that's what I saw this summer. I went to both weekends of the Scholastic event and all 3 weekends of the non-Scholastic event. And the real takeaway from our coaches were very much what Jamie said. They were excited to be back out. It was great for them to be around their own players. It was great for them to be around prospects, to see each other, to have games, and it was great to see how they all supported the mask mandates at the various events, and so it was just a good sort of feeling of fellowship and camaraderie, just getting back to work.
So Jamie, what, as we enter this new normal, this new season, with NIL now a main deal that coaches are going to have to deal with, getting back out there, protocols still in existence, but not to the extreme they were a year ago. What to you is the most pressing issue facing coaches as the season is getting ready?
Well, I think, just determining how you're going to handle and the players, really, it's the players as far as vaccination, how we're going to do that. Our entire team has been vaccinated, so that was their decision, their choice, and so I think that's puts us in a good spot as far as what we can do going forward here. I think just educating our players and our fans too about what's in place, and then also being willing to adapt, because as we see, things have changed where we were a couple months ago, and so I think we're still in that phase where we're going to have to be able to adjust. We're going to have to be open-minded, and we're going to have to listen and learn at the same time.
Craig?
Yeah, I would echo what Jamie said. And then, from our coaches' standpoint, we've learned some things from COVID. And one of the things we learned was that our membership is getting older, and we need an opportunity to train more younger coaches. And during COVID, institutions were allowed to have 2 non-coaching staff members, such as dobos and video coordinators, perform on-court duties. And that really helped our student athletes, it helped our coaches, and it helped our institutions. And we are pushing hard to get that legislation to be on the books for this season as well. So that's one of the big things we have. And this constitutional review that the NCAA is going through right now, evaluating the NCAA governance at all divisions, that's going to be a big deal for our coaches and our institutions. So we have been asked to be a part of that as a coaches association and give our feedback, and we continue to give our feedback. So those are a couple of things that are on my plate that I want to see how they evolve over this season.
Jamie, what I find interesting is to what Craig is just bringing up, on one side, we're seeing obviously less centralization from the headquarters in Indy. And while, yes, because of COVID and social distancing, there was, a whole issue of how many people you want, on the court at one time, certainly early. On the flip side, through, diversity initiatives, you want more opportunities. And because of COVID, if someone goes down for 7 to 10 days, 14 days, you need someone to coach the team. So you do need more people. So those two aspects of having more coaches, more opportunity, and to make sure you've got more personnel in case someone does get sick or is a contact, because we're not rid of that yet. How important are those two positions?
Yeah, Craig touched on it. I mean, we there's a lot of, we think of basketball, college basketball, this young man sport, but there's a lot of older coaches, a lot of coaches that we know personally, Craig and I, that really struggled with COVID this past year, and we lost some coaches too, and had some that had very serious health issues. So. Again, we need to have the flexibility to make some adjustments and to have guys ready, to have guys that have been on the floor and staff in the middle of the year. Our entire staff had COVID last year. I mentioned our players, but our entire staff. So, we had to make a lot of different adjustments, even this summer, because of some issues, tragic things that happened within families on our staff. And, we had guys out that we had to rotate, guys that hadn't been in that position before. And it would have been nice to have been in that position of being on the road recruiting, or like I said, be on the floor with them, as Craig has talked about. But it certainly is something that we were striving for. We want to continue to. We put a lot of different programs in place to add diversity to our coaching staffs and to our administrative spots. Craig's been unbelievable in that area. The NABC's done great things in that area, and we've got to continue to do that. So we need opportunities. I think sometimes we get caught up in this thing of, we have 13 players, and you have 3 coaches, a head coach, and that combination. But our world is so different. It's so different than any of the other sports, and when you're dealing with such a small number, when one goes down, 2 goes down for whatever reason, not available, that really becomes a challenge for us. So we got to get away from this ratio that keeps continuing being brought up with basketball, because it's such a small number. These incidents or issues or emergencies that come up, they really affect programs, and they affect young people's lives.
And the other thing too, Jamie, that and Craig and I talked with Ed Cooley about this a couple of weeks ago, is the mental health aspect. It's obviously been in the news a lot in the sports world over the last year and a half, but it's been mostly from a athlete perspective. And there are days, I'm sure you have had them, where for whatever reason, you just need a break. You just need a day. Maybe something's happening in your personal life that you just need a day or two to just reset and not feel like you can't leave, and not feel like suddenly there's going to be fewer people to coach your team. What about that aspect of helping coaches in that regard, of giving them that break that every human being needs?
Well, we had a specific example this year. I mean, this summer, and one of my coaches, coach members, his sister passed away, and given I was away with USA Basketball, there was I was like, Tony, go, stay as long as you want. We will go without somebody on the road. We'll adjust. We'll put a GA on the road. Well, he's never been on the road before, but it's like, there's some things that just come up again with these small numbers. There's challenges that come about, and we'd like to have our guys prepared and know that it's not going to be the first time they're doing something, and responsible for 13 young guys that just got to campus on that, so on the floor. So there's times, like you said, there's times where we got to be away, and it would be nice to have somebody that's has been through it before, has done some situation where we can plan for that, and and put them in position where they've learned, rather than being in an emergency situation like we were in this summer.
Andy, we have, as you know, this year we put together a player development coalition, which is a group of players to give us, the NABC, feedback on different issues that affect them, and also share things with them to help them develop as young adults. And one of the a lot of the feedback that I've gotten from that group of players is that they want more interaction with the coaches, right? And they're used to being trained all the time. They want more time on the court. They want to be trained. They want to have deeper relationships with some of the younger folks on the staff, along with the older folks on the staff. And I thought this year our coaches did a tremendous job understanding the needs of the players, which included their mental health and welfare. I know this has just been a year for me, but what I see is a real need for our coaches to be allowed to have the responsibility of making making the decisions that are right for their student athletes, because they are capable of doing it and are willing to do it.
Craig, what were the sort of the main issues that were discussed at the board that transcend all divisions, divisions 1, 2, and 3?
Well, in Division 2, we discussed the potential for adjusting the practice start date to mirror Division 1. We also heard from the Division 2 guys that they want their transfer notification date to be identical to the Division 1 transfer notification date. Don't know how that got out of whack, but that makes all the sense in the world. In Division 3, we remain aggressive in advocating for a rule change that would allow coaches to interact with players outside the traditional playing season. In Division 3, they can only interact with their players during the season. At the NAI level, we discussed the return of the NAIA championship to 64 teams and an adjustment to the practice start date and contest limits. We've got 2-year colleges and high schools as a part of our membership. We discussed the importance of collaborating between the NJCAA, the NWAC, and the California Community College Association. We want to get those folks involved. And at the high school level, we discussed the importance of providing a pathway for high school coaches to advance to the college ranks. And we're planning a fall summit this fall, like we did last year, and we want to have some programs that are specific for our high school guys, as well as all of the different ranks of coaches that we have.
Jamie, to that point, how do you continue that connectivity that needs to occur as we slowly get back to this new normal?
Yeah, there's a question. I think one of the concerns was the high school coaches and coaches wanting to get to the college level. And the high school, the reports we're getting back is coaching in high school is tough. I mean, it's coaches are having a shorter career lifespan as coaches, if you will, and then making that transition if they want to get to colleges. There's not a lot of what we talked about earlier. There's not a lot of paths to entry to get into it with it. And if you have a family to do that with limited the ability to get on the floor and coach. And so, we would like to, again, make it coordinate all these different levels of basketball under the NABC umbrella, where we're working hand in hand to develop guys' careers, or as careers wind down too, to make a transition to maybe a different area. College coach becomes a local high school coach, or stays on our board and is involved in basketball issues and that they've been through, they've experienced and seen. And so we want to try to, I think, get everybody under this one umbrella of the NABC, and where we can help all. And that's going to be a big process going forward here. But whether it includes the AAU coaches as well, I think we really want to reach out to them as well and make this more of a all-encompassing group that just loves coaching and being around kids and developing young men.
Craig, what are the chances that the NABC can be a little bit of a question and answer area for things that might come up with NIL, with APR, gender equity, diversity and inclusion, things of that nature that are now going to come across a coach's desk at all levels.
Absolutely, Andy. We feel like we should be sort of the clearinghouse for information, continuing education, and just all out sort of a knowledge base on these different areas for our coaches. And we've got plans to, as I mentioned in the fall summit, to address some of these. We address them at our convention at the end of the year, but I see an opportunity for us to sort of have some living documents and living committees that are always talking about these things, so that when coaches run into issues, they can call the NABC and get some clarification and if not get the answer, at least know that we know where to get them the right answers. So I'm really excited about where the NABC is going. As Jamie mentioned, we have the mantra that we want to be all inclusive for all people who want to coach young people, and we want to help educate our coaches to be the types of people that our student athletes want to be mentored by and want to be coached by.
Yeah, there's no question that we've all experienced trying to call the headquarters over decades for information, and you don't know where to call. Can you get the info? You get automated. If the NABC can help crystallize that, and yeah, you may sometime have to go to a legislative document or the NCAA, but if you can get it first answer to the NABC, that would be great. Last thing. The College Basketball Academy, Jamie, happened 2 years ago. Didn't happen during the COVID year in 20. Didn't happen in 21 as we just started to get some of the recruiting back. We know there's discussion about what's going to happen with girls basketball and boys basketball at the high school level and the recruiting level. Are they merging? But what would you like to see as discussions are taking place going forward, maybe for the summer of 22?
Well, I thought the academies, basketball academies, were a tremendous growth for us, and I thought it was a great opportunity. It wasn't perfect, there's no question about it. It was our first year doing it, the NCAA and the NABC being involved in it, but I think it has great potential going forward in so many different ways for the players, the experience. Any player that was a part of it was the experience. I think obviously we've got to get a little bit more involved with AAU programs, and there's plans in place to do that. So I really think they have a great plan going forward. I'm certain if we're able to do it in this coming year, that it'll be a big improvement on what we did the first year, which will really set the groundwork. And I'm excited about the opportunities, both development for coaches, obviously evaluating players, getting players messaging, teaching, and getting them prepared for the college experience, and even the pro experience if guys are bypassing college. It has a very, very valuable, a lot of valuable lessons in it involved, and it wasn't perfect the first year, or what is, but there is a great opportunity for us, especially the NABC, being a part of what can be just a great coming together of all basketball people at one place.
Greg, final word?
Yeah, I am so looking forward to this season. I'm excited for our coaches. I'm excited for our student athletes. I think that we still have it's going to be another tough year. We're still battling this variant. So we have to be vigilant and be careful. But as Jamie mentioned at the outset, we not only the NABC, but the NCAA and our coaches, we all have to be flexible and to put the best product out there for our members and our public. So looking forward to this season, Andy.
I appreciate you guys. I know we're going to talk as we go into the fall, and there's going to be media days in person, which would be great. That's the plan. And then the season will begin on November 9th. Practice obviously getting off the end of this month and into October. So stay safe, everyone. Craig and Jamie, appreciate your time. Thank you.